let me ask you a question. What is the significance of the symbolic connection between these two images? Hi, hello, and welcome to the video. My name's OTM, this is Overthinking Media, where we overthink all things anime, gaming, cinematic, and entertaining. In today's video of Beauty of Beastars, we're looking at the narrative importance of Haru's reflection. Let's jump right back in. Okay, so this is a very important scene. Haru is sat in a bathroom stall waiting for a uniform to dry after Mitsuji threw water all over her. But once her uniform is dry enough, she steps out of the stall and looks into the mirror as she reflects on how the world sees her and how she sees herself, finishing the scene by walking outside. The camera sweeps across from Haru and shows the scene as the same one from the opening shot of the show. It's short, it's sweet, but oh my geez, it contains a lot. Does that rhyme? It's short, it's sweet, but oh my geez. Not a perfect rhyme, but I kind of like that. I might use that in future things. So, what is this scene about? As I just mentioned, the scene is about Haru talking about how the world sees her, how everyone sees her, and how she sees herself and them. Which is such a real juxtaposition to what we expect from a fluffy, white, bunny wabbit, pure white, innocent skin. But on a narrative level, the scene is about giving us more insight to one of the three main protagonists of our stories. The earlier scene had us already introduced to Legoshi. Another has intentionally misintroduced us to Louis, and this scene properly introduces us to the real Haru. In doing this, the first episode has introduced our characters and given us, as the audience, information as to who the story will be about, which it all did without expositioning for no reason. Plus, it ends on the opening shot, which alludes to the scene about to come. It's genius. Okay, 2 in 1. It's hard to talk about the symbolism of this scene without first talking about what it tells us about Haru, but it's also beneficial to talk about what it tells about Haru in conjunction with what the symbolism is of the scene. So, we're doing it at the same time. Let's do it. The first thing I want to talk about is how before Haru starts talking about how the world sees her, the camera shot shows her reflection walking up onto a tap, resulting in a warped perspective of her. It isn't until she looks in the actual mirror, which shows her actual, accurate reflection of her, that she now discusses how the world sees her. Now, we've already gotten a slight look at Haru through others' perspective of her, but this is the first time we actually get to hear about her from herself. Also, yes, this is the other half of exposition dump that I talked about earlier in the previous episode, but could it have been done another way? Or rather, because of who Haru is at the start of the series, would it have made sense narratively and character-wise to do it any other way than internal exposition? Let's take a look at what we've learned about Haru so far in the first episode. As a woman, she is harassed for just being sexually active. Although this could actually be explained as Mitsuji doing it because Haru specifically slept with her boyfriend, and Mitsuji being popular, everyone just goes along with whatever she wants because of the metaphorical pecking order. But because of this, none of the boys want to be known for associating with her, despite the fact that behind closed doors, those very boys may very well be the ones sleeping with Haru. With this reputation, she is alienated by the vast majority of the school. And because of this, and the fact that she wants to be seen as a woman on equal footing as any other student, and not as the small, fluffy, delicate lady who needs protecting, it's unlikely she would mention those innermost thoughts to anyone. So it makes sense that she is talking to herself about it, as at this point in the series, who else does she have to verbally express her feelings to? Who else can she actually trust to listen and not spread this information about her to others? On top of all of that though, by the time this scene does come about, there were enough pieces for the watcher to put the pieces together. So even though this is expositioning, it's really just reinforcing what the audience already knows, as opposed to revealing information the watcher could have found out on their own. Returning to the warped reflection of her though, I believe this is a very literal metaphor for the series. The whole concept being people are people, not just the stereotypes of their species. And what you see isn't an accurate depiction of that person. Legoshi isn't just a vicious wolf. He is an insecure individual with a lot of anxiety. Louis isn't just a helpless deer. He is a strong, authoritarian, clearly driven person. And Haru isn't just an innocent little wabbit. She is a woman who is just the same as any of the larger herbivores. The scene ends on a sweeping shot showing us the same set as the start of the episode, informing the watcher of the events to come. However, now we have more context for what we're about to see. At the start of the episode, all we saw was big bad wolf attacking the defenseless little wabbit. But now that we know who Legoshi and Haru are, as well as what we know about them, suddenly this scene feels completely different. Though it may be a bit of a stretch to say, I think it's safe to say that this scene reinforces the idea that even in the BU, just like with the real world, the stereotype of each animal exists in regards of their species, which leads to discrimination, whether positively or negatively. This is clearly present from the start of the episode, with the herbivores of the drama department accusing the carnivores of Tem's death just because they're carnivores. They have no actual evidence of any wrongdoing by any of the students. Also, did you know wrongdoing is actually one word? I always thought it was two. Wrongdoing. But no, it's just wrongdoing. It's one word. They just suspect the carnivores because Tem was eaten, and it is known that there have been carnivores who eat herbivores. There's no actual proof it was in fact a carnivore. It could have been a herbivore that just devoured them in insanity. No one knows yet. As well as Els accusing Legoshi of being a monster just because he's a wolf. The boys at the school think they're being supportive by trying to protect Haru because of her size and stature. But in reality, they're just perhaps unintentionally looking down on her. So, let's look at the little things. This week, I'm going to do this part a little differently. First, I do want to praise little things. But secondly, I want to talk about why I have some issues with this scene. So, firstly, the good little things. I really love the tap reflection idea. I thought it was great. That is just, it's so well used. And that's all the little things I want to talk about. So, let's talk about the other thing. I get it was for story narrative reasons that allowed Legoshi and Haru to interact, but why didn't Haru just return to her room after getting soaked? Like, I get that she was soaked, but why did she not just go back to her dorm room? Was it to avoid the embarrassment of everyone seeing her soaked? Because most of the students were in the cafeteria at the time, so it's unlikely she would have run into many students. And even if she did, it's not likely anyone knew she was soaked from getting a bucket thrown over her. Considering Haru does have a reputation in the school and everyone knows who she is, wouldn't a likely answer the students came to just be, oh, she's in the gardening club, maybe she spilled a watering can or water butt over herself, or, oh, Haru's soaked in sweat, guess she's been falling around again, or even, oh, has it been raining? But in all likelihood, the most likely answer they would come to would be, oh hey, a student. Anyway, back to whatever I was doing before this. Was it because she didn't have another school uniform? Because that seems stupid. Why would you only have one school uniform? Maybe the rest were in the wash? That's a reasonable answer, I guess, but it doesn't really explain why she didn't return to her room. Because even if her school uniform was soaked, couldn't she have just put her PE uniform on, or even her regular out-of-school clothes? I bring this up because almost everything I normally have to critique about a series, Haru has a logical, in-world argument for, such as the clothing. If the character has a tail, each student has to manually cut a hole in the trousers for it. They don't come pre-cut. They're just normal trousers that the students have to manually edit. This is something Haru actively took the time to address, something she actively took the time to draw, and something she actively took the time to include. No one asked her to. No one needed her to. It easily could have been written off as one of those, oh, it's a work of fiction, it doesn't have to make complete sense. Yeah, they got tails, just don't address it. But no, Haru took the time to include that yes, these are just regular trousers that students individually altered. But even in the manga, Haru is returning to her room. She is in the girls' dorm and then gets water thrown over her. And for whatever reason, she did not just return to her room. Haru had to actively go back downstairs, out of the dorm, walk across the pathway and into the theatre bathrooms. Why? Why did she do this? At least in the anime, an argument could be made. The theatre toilets were just the closest to her, and Haru went to them without thinking. She was drenched, she was soaked, she thought, I need to get to the toilet, so she went to the first one she could find. And it wasn't until she was in the toilet she thought, oh, right, yeah, dorm room. That would have been smart. But by that point, she'd already stripped down and didn't feel like putting wet clothes back on. That's a reasonable argument to make about this case. But no, there is no excuse in the manga. I don't know, man. It's just one of those imperfections that really stands out against the almost perfectionism of the rest of the series. Like, Paru takes the time to address this stuff. So in doing that, we get a more fine-comb look at the series. So the fact that this stuff is included, it stands out. I don't know, man. But for now, though, if this is the first video of mine you've watched, I ask just one thing at the end of my videos. Leave a comment letting me know where you found my video. Was it on someone else's video? Was it on your homepage? Was it suggested to you? Was it sent to you by a friend? Did you just randomly click on it? Was the thumbnail appealing? Is it just the autoplay of the next video? Let me know where you came from, because I am always fascinated to know where my audience is coming from. I find that stuff so interesting. But if you are a returning viewer and you are not yet subscribed, what are you doing? You can be alerted to my newest videos as soon as they go live. All you gotta do is slap the subscribe button like a successfully strong, salty southern salmon swim, sourly, streaky singing song to stay up there with my listener. First try! Woo! I'm getting good at that. Anyway, if we look at the Overthinker meter, we can see that in the first, this amount of time, we have overthought the series of Beastars for that amount of time. Until next time, thanks for watching.